The situation in Canada is concerned. After a prolonged delay, Canada has for the first time ever admitted that pro-Khalistani extremists are using the land to promote anti-India elements. Canada's top intelligence agency says Khalistani extremists are using Canadian territory to promote their agenda, fundraise and plan acts of violence primarily targeting India. This development comes after Prime Minister Modi's recent G7 visit, where both nations hinted that their strained ties may soon be mended. It's important to note that India had been raising these concerns for years together, only to be dismissed by the Trudeau administration. All right, I'm going straight across to Daniel Broadman, senior journalist, joining us for more details and more perspective on the recent developments, with Canada now flagging off and saying that there will be much to be done as far as building ties is concerned between both the countries. Daniel, how do you really view the current situation at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a positive development for CSIS to finally acknowledge that sort of the grass is green and the sky is blue, and the Khalistani lunatics threatening to blow up airplanes and balkanize India violently might want to be interested in doing something violent to undermine India. So this is a positive step. Now, there's a big difference of, will Canada enforce the laws on the Khalistani extremists, or will they simply acknowledge them? And this is where a lot of different things can be true at once. So while Canada and India relations seem to be improving under Mark Carney, will they get to a point that the Indians are happy with vis-a-vis Khalistan? And that would be actually going after the Khalistani radicals in Canada? That remains to be seen, because, again, Canada has recently designated a lot of foreign actors as terrorist organizations. The IRGC and Simadayun, the two most prominent ones recently in the last few years. The IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which shot down the second worst terrorist attack in Canadian history, is Flight PS 752. The worst one is the Kanishka bombing of 182. So those are Khalistanis 1, and the IRGC is 2. We designated them as a full-on terrorist organization finally last year, after much fight with the Iranian diaspora to get them to do that. And then they haven't done anything about it. We still have an estimated 700 IRGC agents in Canada, and there are now stories circulating that the regime in Iran, which looks like it might be about to fall, is interested maybe in coming to Canada as a safe haven. So enforcement of law is not Canada's strong suit. However, there looks to be marked improvement, because it got so bad under the Trudeau administration, where it looked like Khalistanis were actually dictating foreign policy. Some of the reports, particularly the RRR report, a rapid response report from Melanie Joly back in the day, that looked like it was just written by Panoon, just hyped up on some sort of stimulant. That was a fundamentally insane report. It looks like the Khalistanis are no longer writing Canadian foreign policy. So it looks like Mark Carney might let the Khalistanis roam around in the streets, hit things with flip-flops, and wave their swords around. That might continue. However, the lunatics burning Modi effigies, with their swords out and whacking things with flip-flops, they will no longer be writing Canadian foreign policy as it's concerned to India. Hopefully, that's what it looks like.
Piyush Mishra getting in more details on that story as well. I'm going to thank you, Daniel, for joining in with your perspective. Going back to Piyush. Piyush, give us a sense of how India is looking at these developments. An admission that our soil is being used to, in fact, plan against India, or at least propagate against India. What do you, in fact, are picking up from the government as far as this admission on the part of Canada is concerned?
Well, certainly, Sneha, it's a big development because for the very first time in the last many years, the Canada has now acknowledged the kind of efforts which India has been making, and India has been also communicating to the agencies there in Canada. And now Canada has said that yes, the Canadian soil is being used by anti-India elements for funding and also for planning violence against India. And also for the first time, they have used the word extremist for the Khalistanis there. So this is certainly going to give a big boost to the stand and the communication which India has been telling to the Canadian authorities, we can also expect India to further give more evidence against the people who have been involved in planning against Indian soil. And, this is also coming in the wake of meeting which took place between PM Narendra Modi and Canadian Prime Minister. And also we know as to how both the countries have agreed to establish the high commissions at the earliest in the capital cities. So we are now seeing how the relations between both the countries are again turning back to normalcy, and the kind of stand which India has been taking against Khalistani elements, that has also been acknowledged. And Canada has now said that the report which has now come out, this report states that how in the last many years Canadian soil has been used to propagate and also spread the lies and also plan violence against India.